Hello and welcome to Newsnight, where we speak to major players in Nigeria's democracy and the issues generated from its drive for development and growth. I am Ladi Akiridoluale. Thanks for joining us. Today, our attention is on the aviation industry, as well as the feelings generated by the decision of one of its major players to help evacuate Nigerians affected by the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. My guest is the chairman of Air Peace Limited, Barrister Allen Onyema. Barrister Onyema, thanks for your time. Welcome to Newsnight.
Thank you very much.
Many people have wondered, but I have you here now, so I'm going to ask you directly. What came to your mind that made you offer to evacuate Nigerians, as many Nigerians as are willing to come home from South Africa at such tremendous cost?
This is the love for my country and the love of God and my love for God too. In every sphere of my life, I try to seek God's face and try to please God, to the best of my abilities. The most important thing is that as far back as the year 2000, when some of my businesses were crumbling, I knelt down, cried in my room, and looked towards heaven, and I said, God, help me. And I'll use whatever you give me to touch lives. On the South African situation, I saw the gory pictures coming out of South Africa, and I didn't like that. This xenophobia didn't start today in South Africa. It's something, it has become a recurring decimal. Every other time they do the same thing, their government looked the other way. What they were doing had the tacit support of their government. When you listen to video that went viral of the Minister of Police, he said a lot. He was actually kind of encouraging what was happening. So no wonder the police stood aside while their citizens were destroying life and property. So I felt so bad. My country was being called a country of drug pushers. My country was being called a country of scammers. Every Nigerian should have been disturbed by that. I'm in business, so I know the stigma. We suffer a lot of stigma as Nigerians. And Nigerians are very good people, believe me. Over 200 million people, just because of the useless and indecent activities of some few, the whole country was being stigmatized. I didn't like that. Then, of course, I didn't like the gory pictures of lives being lost, people being dehumanized. And I felt that this must stop. So there and then, I just decided, it was a spontaneous action. I just decided that I must evacuate Nigerians from there. My fear was that I may not get the permit. I didn't need money from anybody. I wanted to do it free of charge. So, when I thank the federal government of President Buhari for allowing me to do that which pleased God. So I went in there just to bring out my compatriots, Nigerians, of all ethnicities. That is my motivation. And that, made me happy. That was why I cried when I saw them singing the Nigeria's national anthem. I saw Yoruba, Hausa. A lot of people thought they were just Igbos. No, I had the manifest even before I went in there. We're all Nigerians from all places. You'll be shocked at the balance. So when I saw all of them holding hands, I saw an Igbo boy carrying an Hausa child, a northern child, who needed help there. I saw an Igbo boy carrying him, and when I got into the aircraft, they said, that boy had been helping the woman and the father that tend to the boy. That was Igbo. That was a northerner. I saw Yorubas. They were all clinging to each other, and they held, holding each other right from that national anthem didn't start from Nigeria. It started in Johannesburg. When South Africa didn't want to allow them to be evacuated, they got together as a nation and started singing the Nigeria's national anthem. That was what actually broke the South Africans. And of course, AP staff had stood out there for over 25 hours waiting.
That was what I was going to ask you,
Yes.
actually, that
And we refused to go.
you
said we
may
must
have
go with our people.
anticipated, yeah, you anticipated that there was going to be
Resistance.
obstacles and
Yes.
resistance.
Yes, we did.
And this was going to cost you.
Of course.
Because the longer the aircraft stayed on the ground, the longer you had your staff both on ground and in the aircraft.
You know what I did? I put another set of staff because we didn't want to flout any regulations. I knew it was going to happen. What we did was a non-violent action. I'm a non-violent student. I'm a student of Martin Luther King. So I knew it's a very powerful action. I knew I was going to spell the beginning of the end of xenophobia. And I knew I would hit South Africa very badly if I should evacuate. Because evacuation is not something good for any country. It is not something good. It doesn't send the right signal of any nation out there. And it happened. That was why they came back and started begging. So I was happy when our boys, our girls, and our women, and our men, our children started singing national anthem at the Oliver Tambo International Airport in South Africa. Everything came to a standstill. Because when they checked in 20 people, they didn't want to check in again. Only 20 for an aircraft that could carry 320 people. We refused to go. They say, okay, you're going to do it on another day, you reschedule. We refused to reschedule. But a day before we arrived South Africa, they had gone to the High Commission to ask that we shouldn't do the evacuation. They didn't want it. They were begging. And the Consul General told them that, look, it's not the government, the Nigerian private citizen who owns an airline decided to evacuate, and we cannot stop him. And our president has said that whoever is willing to come home should come home. So we can't stop him. So they didn't know what to do. So they now went to the airport to use the immigrants to stop them. Do you know why we brought in only 187 the very first day? The very first, it was because they tried to stop all of them. At the end, they started banning them. They threatened them, if you are going to leave, we are going to stop you from coming into South Africa in the next 10 years. And remember, some of them were just running out for their safety in order to come back and pick their bits and pieces they left behind. Now, if they were going to ban you for 10 years, how about your properties you left behind? So some of them pulled back. So some were forced to stay. That was why someone that said, look, take the property, take everything. My life and my dignity first. So about 187 left. When I went in there the second time, we took out 315, the second batch. So they lifted about 503 Nigerians out of South Africa.
And you're still willing to do more?
Of course, as long as there's one single Nigerian remaining in South Africa to be evacuated. Because we need to restore dignity to our name as a nation. It has proved to the world that we as Nigerians may have our differences. But at the same time, you don't ever try this country from outside. Don't try. We've proved that you cannot try or resolve to be together. And that we proved with the South African evacuation. Because they were all together, showing love to each other, irrespective of ethnicity or religion. Singing the national anthem and holding hands together. That was why I broke down and started crying in the aircraft. I just said, God, you've just used me.
Because a lot of people have now heard, as you pointed out, they've heard about you in relation to Airpeace. Airpeace is your most visible investment, probably because it involves large...
Airline gives you
a lot of visibility.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, I'm sure you've been asked this question before, of all the businesses that you could invest in with significant ROIs, why would you pick aviation?
You see, it's the same, my drive to touch lives and to contribute my quota to the progress and development of my country. So I'm always thinking of how to contribute to the country. So in 2007, it actually started in 2007. I was thinking of what to do to create massive job opportunities for people. Some people said go into agriculture. All the monies oil companies were paying me. I don't make noise. Instead, I was investing those monies in the banks, taking good double-digit interest rates. So what do I do? Here I was with some means given to me by God Almighty. I want to spread it. So somebody said, go into aviation. That one jet could give job to about 1,000 people. So I was naive. I naively believed that one aircraft could give, one 737 could give job to about 1,000 people. So I started, I started being passionate about it. So I decided to go into it because I wanted to create jobs, just for job creation. And to prove this to you, I got a consultant. Between 2007 and 2011, I started planning, studying on my own. I trained myself on the job. I started planning on my own what to do until when I was ready, I incorporated Airpiece. That was why we started with 4 737 and 3 Dornier, 7 aircraft. Started with 7 aircraft. I later sold 2 of my Dornier jets to British Airways subsidiary, some air in Denmark. They came here and bought those 2 off me because I didn't need them. I wanted to use
The big white bodied ones.
yeah that could give jobs to people. And truly, within 4 years, we've created over 3,000 direct jobs in APC alone, well-paid jobs in APC alone. We've created over 10,000 ancillary jobs. The other day, I went to Skycare, the people in the charge of our catering. I saw about 500 people working there. I saw one full warehouse. Everything stacked there was AP's lunch packs and everything. I employed all these people because of you. They are doing only AP's job. I shed tears again. That touched me. So indirectly, I employed those people. So the ancillary jobs are over 10,000. The statistics are there. So these are the things that make me happy. That was how I went into a turbulent industry like aviation.
And
It's a very
the
turbulent
word
one.
the word you used is actually correct. Turbulent.
Yeah.
Policy. In the run up to this interview, I was reading up some of the statistics. In Nigeria alone, any Nigerian airline can expect to face 36 charges, taxes, levies of various types and shapes. And according to IATA, that could amount to 38% of your earnings by the time all that is removed
Even more.
or more. You, as a big player, you're thinking of going into West Africa, or you've gone into West Africa, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
and you've gone into Asia as well, and you have plans to go even into South Africa and then into Europe.
Yes.
I've heard you complain before that you're not getting the needed support, that other people in your position in other societies would get to go into those places, and that your competitors get that support from their home governments. Has that situation changed since you made that plea?
Yes, to some extent. To some extent. Senator Hadi Sirika is now a substantive Minister of Aviation. He has been interfacing with us. The federal government wants to move aviation sincerely forward. So they've been meeting us to know these challenges. They are trying to address all of them now. To start with, the president has given us a waiver, import duties waiver on commercial aircraft, import of commercial aircraft. He also has announced abolition of VAT on our tickets, though FRS and others are yet to implement them. And spare parts too, commercial aircraft spares. We are supposed to have them cleared, even though customs also um, come under different headings. Not They don't call it duties, but some other headings to put some money here and there on them. But the most important thing is the willingness of government, the obvious willingness of government to change the narratives so that those complaints will stop. I think the government is about doing something about it. The charges are still there. The other charges are still there. Some of them are legislative in nature. And so we expect the National Assembly to do the stuff they have to do. For instance, insurance. That one is very complex. The Nigerian insurance law expects us, we must go through a Nigerian insurance company to insure our aircraft. And all the insurance companies in Nigeria put together cannot adequately insure one aircraft. All of them put together cannot adequately insure one aircraft, yet you're being forced to go through them. So, and they will go to the London market or foreign market to get it insured. So you're paying here, you're paying there. The insurance premium we pay in Nigeria is like this. What I use in insuring one aircraft in Nigeria, the British Airways of this world, we use it to insure about 2-3 aircraft. So these things spare room for any Nigerian airline. And these Nigerian insurance companies hardly want to pay if there are claims to be made. You start, and it's not good for aviation anywhere in the world. That is not good. So airlines should be allowed to go out there and seek out their own insurance company abroad. That will cut down the costs of insurance. And when they do some of these things, the people over there, they stigmatize Nigerians. Oh, Nigeria is unsafe. Nigeria is not good, insecure. The premium now rises. So we have a lot of odds against us. On the West Coast that we go to, these other countries support their airlines, bring down, even abolish some charges for them, while at the same time making us pay 4 times over what they pay when they come to Nigeria. And they say single African transport market.
Yes, open skies.
Open skies. I don't support it because it does not encourage level playing field. It is skewed against Nigeria. The single African air transport market was a noble idea, but it will remain a noble idea if only there will be a level playing field for everyone. But the way it's being done now is a fraud against this country.
The national carrier. One of the things that some of those I've spoken to who are in aviation say is that Air Peace may not have many of the challenges it has, especially when it's going out of the country, if it was a flag carrier. In which case, by nature, if you're a flag carrier, the support in terms of policy incentives and so on from government would come as part of being a flag carrier.
Once you fly out of your country to another country, automatically you're a flag carrier. AP is a flag carrier. There's a difference between national carrier and flag carrier. When you say national carrier, it means government involvement in that airline. The flag carrier means you're flying in international routes on behalf of your country. I'm a flag carrier. British Airways is not a national carrier. It used to be. It's a flag carrier now. Delta is a flag carrier. United, flag carrier. Most of these airlines, you see, almost 95% of them now are flag carriers, no longer national carriers. You have national carriers mostly in Africa, like Ethiopia and some small countries, because maybe they don't have business people that can float airlines. And even Ethiopia is trying to go
in the other direction,
now, private. So South Africa Airways almost gone.
If not for government support.
Yes, depleting the treasury of the country. So we are flag carriers. You don't need to be a national carrier, that is a government airline, to be supported by your country. I remember Senator Hadi Sirika once traveled to Dubai to make sure I get support on some issues. He did that on his own. So they're beginning to, the government is beginning to do something about it. Our minister traveled to Dubai to make sure I was given what I should be given in Dubai, and that is very encouraging. So,
but you still have what they call route competition politics.
Yeah.
People trying to keep other people off particular routes,
Yes.
sometimes by diverting them to obscure airports or by denying
Of
them
course.
finger services and so on and so. Now, how do you cope with those?
It's terrible in the industry. You have what we call devilish antics, and most of these countries play it. They play it, and you see, Nigeria is a very lucrative route for most airlines coming into Nigeria. You find out that what you pay flying 6 hours to Europe, somebody flying from Johannesburg 9 hours to the same Europe does not pay it. The only time this will stop is, it is only when we have Nigerian airlines, indigenous airlines, doing all those destinations. Look at what we are doing to Dubai now. 650,000 for business class, 850,000 for first class, 180,000 for economy. Very unheard of. With a very beautiful aircraft, we have three of them, three 777s, the same as anybody uses. Very beautiful ones, and we give you the same kind of service. For business and first class, we give you limousine.
Was it your decision to, instead of going to Dubai itself, to go to Sharjah, or is it part of the aviation
Yeah,
competition?
what actually happened was that we saw a kind of subtle hostility in going to Dubai direct. So we got Dubai. We got Dubai, but we saw a little bit of hostility. So we started to play safe at first. So we started to go to Sharjah, which is 15 minutes apart by road. So it doesn't really. But the thing is that most people don't know that Sharjah is like from Ikeja, Mublaji Canton into Anthony Village or Maryland. So 15 minutes you're on the other, you've entered Dubai. Sometimes the Sharjah airport is even nearer to some part of Dubai than the Dubai DXB airport itself. And again, the walking distance, if you drop at DXB, sometimes you trek for about 2 kilometers before you get to immigrations. While at the Sharjah airport, you drop 5 minutes, you're out of the airport. The time you're still walking about trying to go to immigrations in DXB in Dubai, the person that came in through the Sharjah airport may have gotten hit to his hotel. So these are the issues. But we also, because some people don't understand it, so we want also to go into DXB, but they told us no slot.
Which would be the same argument for places like
Yes.
Heathrow,
Yeah, they tell us no slot,
JFK, and so
but
on.
you know that they cannot do that for a long time to us. We've written back to them. We want to go in there. If they don't give us slots in their main airport, we know what to do when we come here. I don't waste time. I don't waste time. So some of these countries, and the airlines out there, they play a lot of games. Some want to actually put us down, but we are resisting now. Nigerian airlines are resisting, and for example, in airpeace, the growth of airpeace, we are very proud of it because if we are one airline in Africa celebrated their 100th plane, but they've been there since 1950s, over 60 years. Assuming they're only 60 years and you have your 100th plane in 60 years, that is less than 2 planes in a year. In 4 years, we've acquired over 46 planes. We have about 20 planes, brand new planes, coming in from May next year, less than 8 months now. They'll start moving.
Incidentally, has the crisis that seemed to arise over the 737 MAX, has it been resolved now? Because you were one of
Yeah,
those.
it has not been resolved.
You were one of those who, or you ordered 10 of those
Yeah, we
just
ordered 10.
before.
Just before they had the accident, we ordered 10. We have not cancelled our order. We are waiting, we are watching. I'm not even counting that as part of, we ordered 20 Embraer jets.
That's people ask questions about that as well. That's an investment of something like $2 billion.
We are getting financing from one international financing entity. We are getting financing at low interest rate.
What's your
That's
plan
why
for those?
we are going to interconnect this country. I'm even bringing in more Embraer jets, the smaller ones, but the ones we ordered are the big ones. that could carry 142 passengers like the Boeing. So the plan is to use them all over the country, regional, and of course south of Europe, like some places in Italy and Spain. But we also an announcement will come up soon. I'm not going to say that here. That will shock everybody. But for now, APIS in just less than 4.5 years. Okay, we're going to be 5 years this October. We've gathered about 46 planes, about 26 flying now, then another 20, another 20 coming in from in the last in the next 8 months or 7 months. So when you look at the ratio, you see that it's like we are buying 10 aircraft every year.
And yet,
It's like buying 10.
because
So
it brings me to something else now. You talked about financing and how you're getting it, and how I've read somewhere else that you made it clear that you also took a large facility from a Nigerian
yes,
financial institution, and that you're paying that back from sales. You didn't hide that, especially when the issue of the ownership
yeah,
came up. Now, it brings me to, because now you talked about Embraer jets, we talked about the Boeing, and so on. The next thing logically that people talk about is maintenance. When you have, different brands of aircraft, how do you maintain them? The cost of that,
yeah.
of maintaining them, vis-a-vis the cutthroat prices for tickets here. People say that most of the tickets for flying, especially within Nigeria, are heavily subsidized because of cutthroat competition.
Yes.
That the airlines are not really making
Yes.
money from those, especially when you add all these charges on top. How are you? I'm not asking for the business strategy, but I'm
No,
just.
see, first of all, integrity is everything. Our prized asset in APC is our integrity. All the banks in this country would want to deal with APs because of my person. I do things at times that make people marvel at. It's not rocket science. The banks have been very supportive. That is why we are doing what we are doing. But in our own case too, we've showed a lot of integrity. If I ask Fidelity Bank today for 20 billion, they will give me. It will be approved like this. But the fact is that I will create a sinking fund for them. So every day, maybe my repayment is 100 million in a month. I create a sinking fund where automatically 10 million naira goes from our sales into that account every day. And I make sure I don't control that sinking fund. Nobody controls it. But at the end of the month, you take your 100 million. At the end of the month, what you have there is 300 million, 10 times 30. You take your 100 million, I still have 200 million remaining. As mean I've borrowed only 2 billion from you. At the end of the year, you've taken about 1.2 billion, 10 times 12 months. What will be remaining will be 800 million. But remember, I have 200 million saved every month times 12 months. That would be 2.4 billion. So I have extra 2.4 billion in the account. I'll now tell Fidelity, take your 800 million. I don't want to do again because the interest rate is over 20%. Most of the time, the banks don't like that. They don't like that when they're dealing with somebody of integrity because they know they will get their money. And they will know they want more interest on their investment. APIS has never kept any loan up to the maturity date because I don't want people to come after me. I don't want any bank to come after me. I set up this airline not because I want to enrich myself. That is why I do what I do. I don't divert the money to anything. I use it for the staff. I give them bonus at the end of the day. And my staff, they have free medicals. Our medical covers both surgery, childbirth, surgery, and other things, not just malaria medical. So we try to, we increase salaries. We look at the economy. Oh, things are going down. We touch the salary a bit so that people will be able to. My happiness is seeing thousands of indigent people being employed, having a means of livelihood. So that's why we do in APIS. We try to be honest to our banks, and the banks are ready to support us. That is why the international banks abroad, financial organizations abroad, before they do anything with you, they get in touch with your banks here. If your bank says, no, I can't do, nobody touches you. So that's why everybody is ready to finance anything APC is doing. It's not rocket science. And at that, these things breed envy. But do it the way we do, and you'll get the same thing. I want to polish, I want my activities to help in polishing the image of my country. We are stigmatized. A lot of Nigerians are accused of sundry things. Sometimes a whole nation is indicted. If they accuse you of anything, once you're Nigeria, it becomes true. We should be wary of believing all that we hear. Because some are functions of stigma. Some are functions of stigma. So we need to clean this out. So what I've been doing on the international scene is making people to look into this country. That is the truth, as far as aviation is concerned. A lot of people are taking interest in Nigeria now. A lot of the manufacturers of aircraft are taking interest in Nigeria because of APs. If this airline is succeeding in the face of debilitating challenges, then something good could come out of this place. So a lot of people are looking into Nigeria now. So all we need is the support of everybody. Like you rightly said, our pricing, the ticket fares of Nigeria is the least all over the world. And people wonder how we make ends meet. That's the truth. The other day we increased our fares a little bit. And when we increase, it's not for every seat. It's when the seat is getting filled up that you pay such a little bit of premium. And people are complaining, but that is even not up to half of what people pay abroad. Abroad, even the seat you sit on might even attract more money. The economy could cost up to $400 for a 1 hour trip. And depending on the kind of seat you sit on, if you sit on the eye, you pay more money. If you sit by window,
you pay more money as well.
You sit the one with 29 pitch, you pay more money. But here, Nigerians will carry 100 kg of luggage and get to the airport and be saying, please now, I beg now. And when they waste the time of the person checking in, that aircraft goes late. And once the aircraft goes late once, the whole day is affected. So both the airlines, the poor airport infrastructure, the passengers, all of us are contributory to all the delays, plus weather and other natural causes are contributory.
Does the fact that most of Nigerian airports, apart from the really big ones, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt mainly, the fact that in many of the others you can't land after 6 because of the infrastructure at the airports, does it also affect your capacity to break even, make money, and offer other kinds of services? Or is it just as well that you can't fly there after 6 because they are not viable in the first place?
No, what happens is that some of the airports don't have night, night operations infrastructure. So once it's sunset, once it gets a little bit dark, you can't go in there because of visibility. They don't have lightings, runway lightings. They don't have any of those things. So you don't go in there. And it's affecting our business seriously because instead of you flying for about or doing about 13 landings in a day or flying for 18 hours in a day, the plane wants to be in the air. The aircraft doesn't like sitting on ground. So you start flying from 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening in most of the airports. But Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt, you can land any time of the day. Then, of course, Uyo, the state government approved the understanding. I think Benin too, His Excellency Mr. Obaseki has contributed to that. I think they put out the light in Benin. I don't know if it's in news yet.
You've chosen some of these hitherto obscure destinations. Is that also part of a broad strategy?
Yes, because I want to connect the country. I believe that we could help in energizing the economy of this country. We could help in opening up the rural areas and place not serviced. That's why we bought our Embraer jets, the ERJ 145s.
Are those the hoppers?
Yeah, the hoppers, the 50 sister jets, our subsidiary, the Airpeace Hopper. We're going to use it to connect cities. Some of my hoppers are coming in towards the end of October. When they come in, I want somebody in Benin to be able to go to Port Harcourt, not coming to Lagos first. I want to connect Owerri to Kano. I want to connect Kano to Yola. I want to be able to connect Akure to the north without going to Abuja first. So I want to interconnect cities with the hoppers. They will be all over the place. This will help to energize the economy of this country. I want people in Bauchi who live in Lagos to be able to fly from Lagos straight to Bauchi on the hopper, because just 50-seater. So you'll be able to get, if you get 20, 40, 30 passengers, it's okay. I want people to be able to, travel with ease. All we need is support of everybody. Now, you talked about maintenance the other time, about having different fleets. Airpeace, we have a British maintenance organization. I have phobia for flying.
I do. I was going to come to that towards the end of the interview.
I have phobia for flying. So when I was setting up Airpeace, I decided to make sure I do the right things so that I fly with my whole family inside Airpeace. I fly with my whole family. And when people see me, they say, Alan, don't be doing this. I say, what of the lives of thousands of people I move every day? We're only 6. Myself, my wife, and my 4 children. So if I don't trust what I'm giving them, there's no need. So when they see us on the plane and they announce our presence, people are happy, they come, because I trust what I give out there. Sometimes you might have problems, but they are not the kind of problems that will take lives or cause serious accidents. No. We make sure we do the right maintenance. If you go to our warehouse alone, you'll see spares worth over $20 million. Maybe if you have a chance, I could take you to our stores. You see what I'm talking about here at the airport. The biggest ones that we have a facility, a very massive facility at the airport. We have one of the biggest stores in this country, spare stores. I doubt if there's anyone with that kind of the kind of stores we have and the equipment we have therein. Of course, we have AJ Waters of UK. We signed a 5-year contract with them for spares. They are one of the biggest power by the hour vendors in the world. We signed up with them. Very expensive, but that's what I want. The UK company is maintaining Airpeace here. They're here 247.
Yeah, those who fly at the airport see some of their staff.
Over 400 million being paid as fees every month. It's expensive, but we want it. We want it that way. So about the 777s are being maintained by the Israeli aerospace industries, one of the best in the world. They manufacture parts for Boeing, and are the ones in charge of. They manufacture Gulfstream for America. All these Gulfstream you're seeing. That's the kind of. So I went for the best. Not easy to come by, but you are assured of what you're getting yourself into. So I don't want to be flying people for 7 hours, 14 hours flight to, because we want to start China soon, and India, flying 15 hours, or flying to America about 14 or 13 hours in equipment you don't trust. So that's why we went for the kind of 777. We went for one of the best machines ever made, and went for Israeli aerospace industries, very trusted all over the world. We signed a contract, a very expensive, exclusive contract with them, in order to be able to to get them to be the ones maintaining our plane. If we didn't do that, we treat you like others. You apply, they say no chance, this, that. But they're the ones maintaining our 777. That's why you see our 777 flying all over the place. No issues.
How about aviation fuel?
Very expensive.
Because that seems to be another problem.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why they said Lagos.
All over the world, they tell you that aviation fuel will take about 40% of your cost.
Well, cost is one thing, but availability.
Yes, in Nigeria it's over 60 or 70%.
And then there's availability problem as well.
There's availability problem because in the morning they will tell you it's 10 kobo. By afternoon it's 220 naira. The next time is 200. The next time is 300. So it doesn't really give you room to plan. And I think the only solution to that will be when we start manufacturing aviation fuel in our refineries. If our refineries are made to produce these products, it will help. I'm not asking government to start buying fuel for airlines. No, it's not everything we call on government to do. I don't believe government is there to do everything for everybody. No, they only provide the enabling environment for us to thrive. Aviation fuel is very, very expensive. But I believe with what the current minister is trying to do, we are going to get there. We are trying to do everything possible to change the dynamics in aviation. For Air Peace, the sky is our limit by God's special grace. We are trying to make sure we do everything right. The expansion is coming. And again, I want to use this opportunity to apologize to Nigerians for the delays they encounter at times. This is rainy season. If anybody tells you that they are going to do on-time departure 100% is a lie. You can wake up this morning and there are thunderstorms en route Calabar. You won't go. Once that aircraft is delayed 1-2 hours, it will affect every other time. And going to the Sunset airports, it will affect them. If you have evening flight to Sunset Airport, it will affect that flight. It will lead to cancellation because the aircraft cannot get in there. So this is rainy season. They have to bear with the airlines. They have to bear with us, APs, because safety first. Safety first. You may be in Asaba now. The skies are clear, and your aircraft has not come in. Oh, this airline, this and that. No, no airline is kept in one place. I mean, no aircraft is kept in one place. That aircraft coming to Asaba may be in Abuja to go from Abuja to Yola, then from Yola back to Abuja before getting to Asaba. If that aircraft is delayed in Yola because of weather, it couldn't come out, Asaba and other places that plane will go to will be affected. Because you're seeing clear skies in Asaba doesn't mean that there's no weather elsewhere. Even on routes that Asaba might be thunderstorms, you don't want to go in there. The other day at the international airport, lightning hit the international airport. One of my 777s was parked. The lightning dug the earth round the plane. It didn't touch the plane. It just got that. Thank God for it.
Would you consider an alliance with other airlines, Nigerian airlines or foreign airlines?
Alliance is something that is done, in industry. It's part of the industry. Alliance is different from merger.
Yes.
Yes, alliance. You can co-share. You can come together and agree that if I have any disruption, I can move my passengers to you, and later we settle. But let the passengers move. So we are trying to see how we can do that within the country. Then out there, already we are doing with Air Arabia. With Air Peace, you can fly to about 40 other destinations. You check in Nigeria and you get your luggage in your last destination. And I don't think people know about this. With Air Peace, you can do that. We're in alliance with Air Arabia. So when you buy, if you want to go to Jeddah, you can fly with us.
Flying internationally, of course, means that you belong to IATA.
Of course, we became members of IATA within 2 years, and and you must get IOSA certified. It must be IOSA certified too. IOSA is about safety audit, international safety audit. We got certified within 2 years of our operations, and returning the IOSA audit is the most difficult part, and we did.
President Buhari, Senator Sirika, and some of the other people who are in charge of policy will be listening to you as you're speaking today. If you were to highlight 3 things they need to do to help you as a major player in the aviation industry, and indeed the aviation industry as a whole in Nigeria, what would those 3 things be?
Yeah. First and foremost, the access given to some international airlines into the country should be curbed. It is not doing the country any good. The multi-destination given to some of them should be stopped. It is not doing us any good. If they want to do multi-destination, they can get together and get some local airlines to help them take those passengers. That's the only time we can support the indigenous airlines to grow. But if we give international airlines access to every airport in Nigeria, the local airlines can never, ever grow. Even in America, you take your private jets, ordinary private jets to America. Maybe you're going to Atlanta and you want to land in New York to refuel. Once you land in New York to refuel, The next landing, you're not supposed to use that plane again within America. You'll be forced to charter their own plane or use their public transport in order to contribute to the economy. Then from there, you go back, take your plane out of the country. Not to talk of commercial airline. It is not allowed. That is number one, but we need to understand it. The clamor for everybody to have international flight from international airlines flying to their kitchen should be stopped. Because when you ask questions, you hear that, oh, this state wants a direct flight. They've contacted Ethiopia to be flying straight to their doorsteps. This one, no, we cannot encourage that. It's like allowing the traders to import everything they want to import because people want to wear imported things, people want everything imported, then toothpick and everything, then you allow it because that's what people want. So it should be stopped. Multiple destinations. Another one is multiple frequencies. Frequency is different from designation. Designation is about the airport you fly into. Frequency is about the number of times you come in. I started doing Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, and one airline from there wanted all of a sudden to increase their frequencies into Lagos from 2 to 3. They used to do 12, 6 p.m. Now they wanted to do 9 p.m. too, and do another one from Abuja. All those things are calculated to demean this Nigerian airline that is trying to do direct flights out of this place. So such things should not be encouraged at all. And I'm happy the government didn't allow them in the long run. And they should not. 3. So if they are doing 3, and it's not that because they have enough passengers on those 3, it's because they want to make sure they mop up even the remnants so that you don't come up. We call it international aeropolitics. So we should make sure that doesn't get done. We need to. Number 3 is about the charges, which I'm sure government is working, to address the multiple levies and all manner of charges. And again, number 4, the agencies of aviation should understand that they are there to help the industry grow and not to seek out victims, or wait for you to do something and everybody come crashing out. No, the agencies should understand that they are there to make the industry grow for the benefit of our nation. And if you ask for number 5, it's all about improving the airport infrastructure, which the government is actually doing now. So this is it.
Mr. Onyema, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Newsnight this week. Thanks for being with us. I'm Ladi Akiri Doluale. Goodbye.